गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव. एवं विष्णुपाद परमहंसाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की, इस्कॉन फॉर आचार्य शिला प्रभुपाद की, नाम आचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की, निरंतरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada की जय. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Canto 3, Chapter 32, the entanglement in fruitive activities, and the text number 38. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 38. Jivasya samsritir bhaver avidya karma nirmitaha yasvanga pravishan atma na veda gatimatmanaha. Jivasya samsritir bhaver avidya karma nirmita yasvanga pravishan atma naveda gatimatmanaha. Jivasya samsmritir bhaver avidya karma nirmita yasvanga pravishan atma naveda gatimatmanaha. Jivasya samsmritir bhaver avidya karma nirmitaha yasvanga pravishan atma naveda gatimatmanaha. Jivasya samsmritir bhaver avidya karma nirmitaha yasvanga pravishan atma naveda gatim atmanaha. Jivasya samsmritir bhaver avidya karma nirmitaha yasvanga pravishan atma naveda gatimatmanaha. Jivasya samsmritir bhaver avidya karma nirmitaha yasvanga pravishan atma naveda gatimatmanaha. Jivasya samsmritir bhaver avidya karma nirmitaha yasvanga pravishan atma naveda gatimatmanaha. Jivasya samsmritir bhaver avidya karma nirmita yashvanga pravisannatma naveda gatimatmana. What to what meaning? Jivasya, of the living entity, samsmriti, courses of material existence, bhavi, many, avidya, in ignorance, karma, by work, nirmitaha, produced, yasu, into which, anga, my dear mother, pravishan, entering, atma, the living entity, na, not, veda, understands, gatim, the movement, atmana, of himself. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. There are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. My dear mother, if anyone enters into the forgetfulness, he is unable to understand where his moments will end. Purport. Once Once one enters into the continuation of material existence, it is very difficult to get out. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes himself or sends his bona fide representative, and he lays behind scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam so that the living entities hovering in the darkness of nescience may take advantage of instructions, the saintly persons and the spiritual masters, and thus be freed. Unless the living entity receives the mercy of saintly persons, the spiritual master or the Krishna, it is not possible for him to get out of the darkness of material existence. By his own endeavor, it is not possible. Next to Mangala. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Dvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Padidana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, so welcome once again. We are continuing the discussion from the Canto 3, Chapter 32, the entanglement in fruitive activities. So, in the last few verses, Kapila Muni was mentioning, like those who follow the path of bhakti, they will be going back to the spiritual abode. Those who follow the material, those who are consciousness is materialistic motivated, like those who wanted to enjoy this material world, they don't have any godly consciousness, Krishna consciousness in this life. What would be their destination? That has been explained by Kapila Muni in the previous chapters. And in relation to that, if you see in Bhagavad Gita, Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, one of the 10.8, I think, yeah. So aham sarvasya prabhu matta sarvam pravartate iti matta bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitam. So that Krishna was saying that I am the source of all material world and the spiritual world. Krishna is the source. So in this topic, the topic we are discussing entanglement in fruitive activities. This is happening in material world. So Krishna is the source of both material and spiritual world. So in this canto, in the previous, when we say Krishna is the source of material world and spiritual world, particularly when we focus on material world, how it is emanating from Krishna. So in the previous, this is the same canto, in the previous chapters, Kapila Muni was explaining Sankhya philosophy, through which we can understand how this material world is created, right? Krishna, in material, how Krishna, the Kapila Muni was explaining, right? So initially when he glanced over the Mahatattva, the Pradhana, and from there, all the living entities will be impregnated into the Mahatattva. From there, the modes will, with the time factor, various modes will be activated, and as the various modes based on the different modes, different material elements, like all the modes, three modes, all the material elements, mind, intelligence, false ego, and earth, water, fire, air, ether, all these things, and various senses, sense objects, all these things were coming. So it's mainly the Krishna's material energy is creating under the supervision of Krishna. So this is how the Sankhya philosophy was briefly explaining, scientifically explaining how this, through scriptures, how this material world is created. Now, after this explaining the Sankhya philosophy, Kapila Muni was mentioning what would be the situation once you living it is created, what would be their situation in this material world, because the modes will be acting, they don't have any God, most of the people, they will not have any God's realization, how they will be suffering, he is explaining. And at the end, he was giving it, emphasizing on bhakti. Bhakti is the only option to get out of this material entanglement. So the emphasis on bhakti is the only solution to come out of this material existence. And in this regard, so many people, when we do they talk about the devotion, the bhakti, so some people may think it is like a sentiment, and some people may follow just as a ritualistic activity. So, but here the Sankhya philosophy and this canto clearly mentioning that bhakti is not neither the sentiment nor the ritualistic or something blind faith. It is purely scientifically explained why we need to perform devotion. So, explaining all how this material world is created, and to come out of this material world, why the only solution is to do the bhakti. Otherwise, you will keep on entangled in this material world. You will take repeated birth and death unless you take the shelter of. Now, the next thing we will discuss bhakti to whom we have to perform. So, in the subsequent sections we will discuss. But in today's purport, it was mentioned. There are, in the translation if you read, there are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. So there are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs. So let's analyze this point. So what exactly it means? So different varieties of material existence according to the work you perform. So when we talk, before talking about this material existence, let's take in the devotional path what will happen. When we take the devotional path, what will happen? So our goal at the stage of neophyte stage, we will have a clear objective, right? We wanted to go back to Godhead, and with the help of devotees, we continue our devotion. We come to the temple, we do all the services, and then that will give an idea, the knowledge, right? Why we are to do this, and when we do this, what is our goal? Depending on the mode, you may worship Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, many other the Supreme Lord incarnations, anything you can. But when you worship all these different incarnations of Krishna, the Vishnu, you know the goal is very clear where you will be leading. When you finish your life, either you will take a birth as a devotee to continue the remaining part of your bhakti, or you will go back to Godhead. So this path is very clear. When we do the bhakti, it is very clear what we are going to get. Either you will get a devotee life in the next life, devotee family, or you will be going back to Godhead. It is depending on Krishna's will. But when your devotion is matured, you think that okay, it's the Krishna's hand, whether he wanted to take me back here, back to Godhead, or he will put me somewhere in the other to find in his service. So that would be our mood. So in the what I am trying to say is, in the devotion path, everything is clear. What we are doing, why we are doing, what would be the outcome. These things are very clear in the process. But when it is coming to the material world, so when we focus on the material, material consciousness means we don't have a Krishna consciousness, or we don't have a godly consciousness, and our aim is to only enjoy this material world, and we think that I am the body, I am everything, I am the body, I have to enjoy, all the possessions are mine. This is the concept, consciousness we will be having, and with this consciousness we will be perform various activities. But as per our Bhagavad Gita and various scriptures, whatever the activity we perform, if it is not Krishna, if not with the God consciousness, just you are fully materially motivated and animated, obviously you have to take birth. You have to take birth and you have to take the reaction further. So, but some many people understand that yes, there will be another birth. Some people even they do not even they don't know that they have to take next birth. Whether you know or you don't know, the resultant action you have to suffer. That is very clear. So, in all these cases, what exactly we are trying to do is, it all depending on what work you perform with a material consciousness. Your destination will be either you go to the water, you take birth as some fish, or you take birth in the forest as an animal, or in the air as an insect, or you will go to the heavenly planet, or you may go to an earth planet, or you can go to the heavenly planets. So these are various combinations. Not even the performer of the action also, he doesn't know where he is going, what will be his next destination. That is where we can understand there are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness. So the word ignorance or forgetfulness means we are not having the God consciousness, we are not having the Krishna consciousness. Our consciousness is diluted, it is polluted. With that polluted mind, we are performing various activities, and that is resulting into different destination in your next life that nobody knows. The performer of the action, he doesn't know what will happen. But in case of bhakti path, we know we will get a birth in the human form as the next birth, or we will go back to Godhead. That is, but here in this case, right from the 14 planetary system, stop from the heavenly planet to hellish planet, you can go anywhere. Not only human life, you can take life in any of the 8.4 million species. So this is a wide scope. That's where we don't know what would be our movement. So the main reason for this is forgetfulness and of our real identity. This is the key thing. So without knowing our identity, without remembering, without coming out of this forgetfulness, whatever activities you do, you will keep on entangling material world. So an example Prabhupada was mentioning in Kumbh Mela. It's like Prabhupada was saying such Kumbh Mela, these kind of things like a spiritual conference, where when you go there, when you attend that, it will improve your spiritual consciousness. It will nourish your spiritual consciousness. But what is happening in general, people blindly follow. If someone is going and taking the dip in the holy river, even after going Kumbh Mela, blindly people follow. They don't know why they are doing, what is the reason for doing. So all because just people are following and someone is telling to follow and they are doing it. Otherwise they don't have any consciousness. These kind of activities will not give you the bhakti, or it will not take you back to Godhead. It will keep you in the same material world again. So if you take without proper godly consciousness, if you break the dip in the holy river, you may maybe some pious thing you will get it, or you may go to heavenly planet, something will happen. But your consciousness is not that okay, you are doing for the pleasure of Krishna. That kind of consciousness is not there in your mind. So without knowing your identity, without knowing the actual your reality, real identity, when you perform all these activities, it will not get the actual benefit. So what is the identity fact? So forgetfulness identity is the key things from this verse, because if we forgot our identity, so that's why we are suffering. So what is the main component? How can we say what is the key ingredients of identity? So when we say what is our identity, means the questions we can, who am I and what is my goal? So because we take birth in this human form, what is my goal, why I have took the birth, why I am like, there are many people, some people are there as animals, some people are like many different living entities, and some people are in different parts of world where they don't have proper facilities, and I am sitting and living here in nice area, right? So we need to understand why, who am I, why I do, what is, why I took the birth as a human being, and what is my ultimate dharma, what is my ultimate job, duty to perform. Where unless you know these things, you will not be able to get your real identity, you will not be able to understand. So in fact, your spiritual journey starts when you know answers to these questions. Who am I? What is my duty? What is my dharma? Unless you know these things, your spiritual journey doesn't start. Without knowing answer to these questions, whatever activities you perform, you will not have the ultimate result. It will be, you will be doing with material consciousness. You will have some material goals. Unless you understand answer, get the answer for these questions, whatever you perform, you will not have the bhakti will not start. Your spiritual journey doesn't start. It will be only material activities. So in this case, so there are various options available to identify, to recover our identity, right? So suppose most of you know, like in our computers, we have a hard disk, or if sometimes if the data is lost, then we need to retrieve from the backup, right? So similar process. So we came in this material world, but we lost our identity. Now we need to retrieve this identity, the lost identity, to, so who am I, what is my duty, sort of questions, right? So it is our backup process is our scriptures, our Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. These things will give us our real identity. So understanding the what like, so who, these scriptures will tell who am I. So you are not the body, you are the spiritual soul. And what is our connection, like what else, what is our dharma? Before understanding what is our dharma, there will be a super soul. He's higher authority there. And what is our connection with super soul? And what would be our work? Our job is to do service to Krishna. These all things will be coming into in our scripture. Under the guidance of spiritual master, when we do this, we will get to know all these answers. So in Bhagavad Gita, when we see Bhagavad Gita, it's a book of yoga. It talks about karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga. Right? So what is happening in this book? The yoga means connecting to the God. Right? Actual Sanskrit meaning is connecting to the God. So what is the connection? We lost this connection. We lost our identity. We forgot everything. Now this through jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, and bhakti yoga, it is trying to bring back to our consciousness, connecting back to Godhead Supreme. So in this we will discuss further and other things also. This is one aspect. Yoga is the one process where particularly bhakti yoga we are referring here. It helps you to connect, identify you. It helps you to recover your identity and connecting. Then once you establish your identity, what is your action, what is your dharma, these things will be available through bhakti yoga. And the other process is like Mahaprabhu was mentioning, Jivera Swarupaye Nityera Krishna. This our ultimate constitution position is serving Krishna. That is our ultimate goal. And even Mahaprabhu was mentioning to Sanatana Goswami, explaining the advancement in devotion, where these different things, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan, where with Sambandha Jnana we identify who am I and what is my relation. And Abhideya means the process. Once you know what is your position, what is the process to what are the activities you have to do. So Sambandha Jnana will tell you, you are not the body, you are the soul, spirit soul. And Prayojan, some Abhideya, it will say based on your position what activities you have to perform. You are the spirit soul and your duty is to serve Krishna, who is a super soul. And the Prayojan, ultimate aim is to go back to his abode. So this is all the knowledge we get. So these are the various means where we can recover our identity, lost identity. Like how we do retrieve data from our backup systems. Similarly, these are the scriptures, like yoga, bhakti yoga, and the various scriptures where Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojan, Jnana, we can recover our lost identity. After retrieving this identity, when you perform the activities, you will have the consciousness that okay, your duty is to please Krishna. Whatever activities you do, that is the ultimate aim is to perform please Krishna. With that consciousness, you will start your journey of the spirituality. Then you will progress and you will go in a matured state of your devotion. So these are the options available to the yoga, bhakti yoga, and other scriptural knowledge will give us the idea how to get our identity. But actual process, still we can understand how we can understand how we can get the actual identity. We can get our identity back. So there are various analogies we can understand. Suppose you are you jump into the water. You don't know swimming. And what will happen? You will be drowning. And unless you see someone lifeguards are there to protect you, there is no chance that you will be rescued, right? So because you don't know the swimming and you don't have any support. Same thing, this material world is such that if you don't know who are you, who am I, and what is my, why I could to birth in this material world, what I have to do, activities. If you don't know the answers to these questions, and if you just jump into the material world and start doing various material activities, you will be drowning in the same way. So I remember one example, a few years back in India, there are few engineering college students from Hyderabad. They went to Himachal, Kulu Manali, some trip, and there are Kulu Manali. There is a river. There are many rivers there, and one of the rivers there is no water, and these students went into the water, and they were taking photos and all. Suddenly, after within few minutes, there was siren coming, big horn, siren coming, sound is coming, but these people couldn't hear. The reason for the indication of the siren is that on the upper side, the dam is there. They release the gates. And these people were in the middle of the water. There was no water when these people went. It's a normal area. But when the floodgates were removed and the water was flowing down, this is the down area, and suddenly water flow increased. And these people, these students, all students, most of the students, few people, they realized and they came back. Most of the students, they did not realize the water is coming, heavy water. And they all were drowning and they could not survive. Somebody was there to help and they all were gone in the water. They lost their lives. So this is how, when we don't know the swimming, when we jump into this water, this is, unless you are lucky, if you are fortunate enough, you will have someone to rescue you. In this situation, nobody was there to survive. So all those engineering students, I think 18 to 20 years age, they lost their lives. So same situation we can apply in our material world. If we are doing all without knowing our position, real identity, without knowing who am I, what is my duty, you start doing your activities. And when you don't know why you are doing, what activities you are doing, you will be drowning in this one. Unless again, in the case of swimming, the fortunate lifeguards or someone will rescue. But here also, if you are fortunate enough, we get some, with Krishna's mercy, we will get association of Guru and Vaishnavas. They will help us to come back to this material. When we are drowning in this material world, they will help us to come back to this the material world, entanglement. So that's why in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, 19th chapter, it was the famous verse, Brahmande Brahmite Kore Bhagyavan Jiva, Guru Krishna Prasada Pai Bhakti Lata Bija. Right? So unless we get, if you are fortunate enough, we get the association of Guru and Krishna's mercy, the seed of bhakti will be planted in our heart. Then with their guidance, under their guidance, by reading the scriptures, we can come out of this material entanglement. Then whatever activities you perform, with that content, you will not be entangled in this material world. So another analogy, like continuation. Suppose you know the swimming, and you are going in a big ocean or in a boat, or if you are good enough, you can swim. You are swimming, but once you go into the middle of the ocean or sea, everywhere, all directions, you will see only water. You won't find exact destination. Suppose if you lost your way, then you cannot go without any aid, without any navigation system. You will not be able to reach other side of the water, right? Same thing. So some people will have when they take birth in the material world, they will think, okay, what is my aim? Why I took the birth in the human being? Then they will be very inquisitive. Then they start looking at the various scriptures, and but there is no guarantee that any script, when we do the scriptural reading and when we try to speculate, ultimately we have to learn Krishna is the ultimate. And unless you don't get into that state, whatever effort you are putting, it will be waste. Right? That's why we have the verse Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapajyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. Jnanavan, the person who is having the knowledge, he thinks that okay, by reading the scriptures, I will be knowing what is my real identity. Right? But when you are doing that, when the verse it is saying Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, it is very rare. Only few people will get this understanding. Even though if you try to read scriptures on your own, you try to speculate, there is no guarantee that you will be getting the understanding that Krishna is the ultimate. Right? There is no guarantee. Only few people will get, those who are fortunate enough, they will get that understanding. They will say, okay, take the shelter of Krishna. But other people, they will keep on, unless you get the stage, it will be life after life, unless you get the stage that, okay, Krishna is everything. That consciousness you have to develop. Unless you develop that consciousness, reading the scriptures and speculation on your own will not give you any result. Again, you will be doing the all material activities. So similarly, when we do speculation, when we see the Krishna, the absolute truth, three levels, right? Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan, it's like three levels. So when we do Ashtanga Yoga or Dhyana Yoga also, it will not give bhakti. It will help you. When you do Ashtanga Yoga, it will help you to realize Paramatma in your heart. Or when you do Dhyana Yoga, you will mention Brahman. But when you do all these things, the Brahman level and the Paramatma level, you will not be having any devotion. But devotion is only to Krishna, Supreme Lord only. To Krishna is the actual devotion, right? So unless you get that realization of Krishna is everything, that will come through only bhakti. This Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, it will not elevate you to the platform of Brahman level or the Paramatma level, but ultimate Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita, right? So your ultimate aim of your life is to perform bhakti to Krishna. How you get that situation? You will get to that situation only through bhakti, not through Dhyana Yoga or Jnana Yoga. When you do Dhyana Yoga, your mind will be purified, your senses will be purified. When you do Dhyana Yoga, your mind will be fixed, but ultimately you will not get. But when you get the association of a senior devotee, when you get you got perfection in the yoga. But when you get association of a devotee with your senses purified, with proper mind fixed on Supreme Lord, you will get into the bhakti state. But same way, when we see the example of Kardama Muni, he did Dhyana Yoga and at the same time bhakti. Then finally he was able to see Lord Vishnu face to face. Right? So similarly, Jnana Yoga also, right? You will get into the Brahman level, you may emerging into Brahman, but unless you do devotion, it will not get you bhakti. So bhakti, what I am trying to say is bhakti comes from bhakti only. It will not come through any other process. So bhakti comes from bhakti. So means the devotees will have a bhakti. When they give bhakti to others, when they distribute to others, then you will get bhakti. So bhakti comes from bhakti, not through any yogic process or any other mental speculation. You will not get bhakti. So so this is the important point we have to understand. So that way you will, when you come in the right path, that will help you to understand who am I, what is my role, what is my dharma, then whom I need to worship, to whom I have to perform devotion. All these details will be coming when you come into the process, when you start your spiritual journey under the guidance of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And the devotion is not just a goal it's not a destination. It is a continuous journey, right? So in the previous, like whatever you stopped in the previous life, in the next life you will start from there. If you completed 50% of devotion in the previous life, you will start from 51. But in normal material sense, it will not be like that. If you have done PhD in this life, they take next path, you have to start from beginning. But in case of bhakti, wherever you stop, you will start from continue from there. So in the summary, what exactly we are trying to discuss? Just we are trying to different means to identify our, to rectify, to get recover from our forgetfulness, to identify who are I. In that process, we try to see various options. Yoga process is there, Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayogjana knowledge is there, and then spiritual master will be association of senior Vaishnavas, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra is required. All these things will help you to get your identify your position, what is your real identity, and then when you know all these things, when you get this knowledge, then you will be able to perform devotion, and then when with that mindset when you do, you will not be entangled in this material world, but you will be coming back out of this material entanglement. So everyone, the dormant love for Krishna is there in everyone's heart. It is there for everyone. But they are not able to activate that love to Krishna. So that is happening only when we start our spiritual journey under the right guidance, and the right direction. That dormant love will be activated. Then you will be able to progress in your bhakti. So in the previous verses to this one, in the same chapter, the Kapila Muni was mentioning various activities we have to perform. So just I am trying to briefly summarizing those activities. So with the fixing our mind on Krishna, we can perform various activities. With that activities, our we can progress in our bhakti. Like we can perform sacrifices, and by performing austerities, by studying literature, philosophical research, and controlling the mind, subduing the senses. So with all these things, activities when you do, you will be able to realize your identity. When you will be able to re-establish your lost connection with Krishna, and then you will be able to progress in the path of bhakti, and you will not be entangled in this material world. You will be coming out of this material world. So I would like to stop here. Any comments? Any? Yes. Sorry, why devotees? Not open to visit Kumbh Mela. No, but when Prabhupada was there, he went many times there. It's like a place to, that's what Prabhupada was mentioning. It's the place where your spiritual nourishment happens. That's what people should have a right consciousness to go there. As long as you don't have the purpose of that, there is no point. It's like a material only. You won't get any spiritual benefit. That's yes. Yeah, that's what Prabhupada went there for preaching, but at the same time he'll getting it's a holy place, holy river, right? So it's a both combination of everything. He went there for preaching, but he was mentioning that this is a place for spiritual urge. It's a spiritual conference. Prabhupada was, he was describing this Kumbh Mela such sort of thing. It's like a spiritual conference where you will spiritual knowledge will be nourished, and you will, that is the actual real sense. But people, how they are utilizing, they are diverting, diluting the purpose. That's why we are not getting the real sense of it. Yes. Yeah, that's why the spiritual conference, when you just conference any general sense, conference means all the people, knowledgeable people will come, and they will exchange their views, or the discussion happens. So same thing, if the saintly people will come, through the saintly people association, we get our knowledge, spiritual nourishment happens. That is the underlying essence of this Kumbh Mela or this sort of Melas. But actually, yeah, in general, in the Kali Yuga, the essence is, we are losing that essence, actual essence of that. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's true. It's in India, like the Kumbh Mela. It happens in it is every 14 years, I think, something. I don't remember exact duration. It happens in I think the Triveni Sangamam is there in Allahabad. That is the place in south the northern part of India. That is where it happens. Sorry. Okay. Okay, Prabhu's story, nice story. There was such a story in our yatra. One young devotee became interested in Kumbh Mela and wanted to go. But he learned that many different yogis gather there who simply want impersonal liberation and that you can come under their influence. And he had a doubt to go or not. We returned home with him in the same car and he expressed his doubt and asked Krishna to send him a sign should he go to Kumbh Mela. Just as he said that, another car on the turn hits ours from the side where this devotee was sitting. The numbers on that car are the three sixes. It's probably not worth going, said a devotee. So, so Krishna told in a different way, so clarified his doubt. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, no. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Prabhu, we have to apply the things as in place, situation, and circumstances. So, that is, I think, whenever we apply all the Vedic injections, we also see the time, place, and circumstance. Like if you see last 2 3 years, the COVID was there. During that, nobody were not able to get any spiritual direct association, right? So, only means instead of not having any association, having association with in the digital way is beneficial. So when at least you are saying they getting the seeing the darshan of your spiritual master and getting his instructions online is better than not having anything, right? So yeah, it's all the time, space, and circumstance, situation and circumstances we need to apply. Yes, it's always good to have the direct association wherever possible, but if the situation is not supporting that, these things we have to use, Prabhu. So technology is using the service of Krishna. That we have to say. But and at the same time, we have to be serious. Even that is Guru is there directly or through online or digital media, we have to have the same level of seriousness. That is our duty. Whoever is taking the receiving that mercy through online, we should have the same level of seriousness. Yeah, okay, since Guru is not there directly in front of you, it should not be. You should not have less seriousness. You should have the same amount of seriousness, whether he is online or whether he is personal, directly in front of you. Like in the Prabhupada example also, Prabhupada said, even I am not physically present, my books are there, my purports are there, right? So same logic. We are reading the Prabhupada purports and we are trying to get knowledge. Similarly, whether the Guru is there physically or online or through phone, whatever. So we have to have the same seriousness. That is our responsibility. Grantha, anything? Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.